Hey, what's up, guys? Bickety Bam here, and since the weather has been pretty crappy here, if you saw my video the other day, we got some snow, and we only ended up getting about, I would say, 5 inches or so. But you know, it's enough that I don't want to bring my trucks out there and get them all full of snow. So I figured this is a good time to take my Kraton 8S apart and just show you guys just basically how easy it is to take this thing apart, and you know, some of the features of it, and how it is different than the 6S rigs. So I have had this apart before, so I kind of know what I'm doing, but I have not taken, like, I haven't disassembled the front and the rears, but I've taken them off the truck and I've taken everything out of the center. So what I'm going to start with today is I'm going to remove the center brace, which is super easy. You just pull the 2 pins. There's one on each side, and then there's push pins that you push out, and they're kind of tight. So what I normally do is get my little, just bang this one out over here. There you go. And we'll do this one. Might now push out easy. It does. So just to note some of the tools you're going to need when you do this. You're not going to need the 2mm, I don't believe. So I'm going to put this over here. But you will need your 2.5 speed bit or regular driver. You're going to need the 3mm, and you will also need a 4mm hex key of some sort. So I'm using a regular Allen key. I normally would never use like a 2mm or 2.5 one of these, because they're normally pretty crappy and they bend. But as you'll see, the hex heads and this fit really well. So I'm going to use this for now until I get something better. You're going to need this to remove the tires, which comes with the truck, and I already did that, if you couldn't tell. So those are off. So I'm going to put this away. I'm not going to need it. So let's get the brace off. So that just slides on out, and again, we'll put everything, keep everything together over there. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I am going to take out the electronics module. Now, I think this is one of the coolest features that they came out with this truck. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, for any of you that are familiar with working on the 6S trucks, changing the servo and dealing with the receiver box and running the wires underneath everything, was just I think it's a pain in the ass. So what they did is they incorporated everything into this one area right here. So also you can see that if anybody's not familiar with my channel or my truck, this is not the stock ESC. This is a Hobbywing Max 5 that I put up here, but it's basically the only difference is that if you know, in the stock truck, it's the Arrma 100 and whatever amp ESC 160, I want to say, or 180, I'm not really sure. And it's double-sided tape, really well. It's screwed on, and then there's double-sided tape on it that keeps it on. And I'll show you what I did with this once I get everything off. So I'm going to unplug my motor leads. Get these off. All right, you got to unplug this. This is for the motor fan, which is over here. Get that off. All right, so now everything is free. So we're going to turn the truck over. Actually, you know, before I turn the truck over, I'm going to disconnect the steering arm right here. And that, I believe, oh, that is, you will need your 2.5, or 2, I'm sorry. You will need your 2. That's this guy right here. I stand corrected. So we'll disconnect this. I'm a firm believer of putting things back hardware-wise so you don't lose it. So I'm just going to screw this back into here a little bit. All right. Now we can go ahead and remove this, and we're just going to turn the truck over. And let me make sure it's centered up here. All right, and that module is held in by 4 screws. I believe it is, let's see here. It's these 2 and these 2. I think it's these 4 right here. Okay. In fact, I would bet money on it. So these, I believe, are 2.5, and they are. So let's get these out. There you go. And that was, I picked the right 4. So let's turn this back over. Oops, I'm banging the lights. Actually, I'm going to move this a little bit out of the way for now. You can look at this. All right, so here you go. You got your whole little module right here. So to get to the servo and your receiver box, you just need to take off this cover, which is held on by, let me see if I can get this up under here, a couple of, it looks like 2mm hexes. Actually, it looks like probably have to take off, okay, yeah, it's these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't know if there's one, there might be one under, where I put the power button. And I really don't feel like taking it off. But once you pop this off, you will have your receivers in there. You can get to your servo. So you got, everything is nice. It's all right here. That's a little water from the other day. This is the servo saver. And one thing, worth mentioning, I kept saying to myself, don't forget this. This little piece sits right in here. And then when you put this back in, there's a groove in the front here, which it sits in. I'll show you that. In fact, I'll show it to you right here. Pull this back over. It sits right here. If you can see that, but it sits right in there. So once you take the screws out, this will know if it's upside down, this will fall out and that'll fall off. You do not want to lose this. All right. And this makes it really easy to put this back in, because once you put this in and basically get it back in there, it's pretty much lined up. You turn it over and the screws are all going to line up. So it's nice. So don't lose that. I'm going to take the screws. I take the screws and put these back under here, put them back in the hole so I don't lose them. There you go. So, and what I did to secure this Max 5 on is that we took the cover off, got the old ESC off, and then there are 4 holes in the bottom of all the Hobbywing ESCs, or at least in the Max 6 and the Max 5. So you can take a piece of paper and use a pencil and rub it up and see where the holes are, and then get that on top of your cover here, and then you're going to drill holes. You get it all lined up where you want it to be. It actually fits really well, as you can see. Fits right on here. So get it lined up, and then you just drive the screws in from the bottom. There are ribs on here underneath this cover, so there might be a chance where you're not going to be able to get one of the screws in, but trust me, 3, and I use double-sided tape as well. With the screws, this thing is on there. I couldn't pry this thing off. I mean, it is on there. So you don't have to worry about that. Unfortunately, the fans in the Max 5 suck as much as the fans in the Max 6, and I've already busted the tips off of like half the blades. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I really wish they would do something about that. So here's your servo saver in the front here, connected to your servo. There's the servo, which lies flat. I do believe Arrma is going to be coming up with an optional tray that is going to make this part wider so that you can fit in a longer servo. All the 5th scale servos are about 5 millimeters longer this way, and they won't fit in here. So without an aftermarket or an optional tray, you're kind of limited to the servo that you can put in there. But I would like to put in a stronger servo, and I really still need to screw around with this servo saver, see if there's a way of tightening it up. I do believe that it's purposely a little bit loose, and that's fine with this servo that they give you, which is it's an okay RTR servo. It's not the best in the world, obviously. I mean, what RTR servos are, and if you had either no servo saver or one that's really tight, you'd probably be stripping out the gears in here. I mean, it's a heavy truck, and first couple times you came down on the nose and put a lot of pressure on this, it would probably strip the gears. So I'm going to leave it for now, but once I get a better servo and stronger servo and faster servo in here, I want to see what I can do with this, because a better servo is not going to help me if it's just, when I go to turn, it's just, opening up the servo saver. So we don't want that. So anyway, so that's out. I'll put that over here. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to disconnect these braces. So I can take this off. I mean, you can either do it from here, from down here. Actually, this one would probably be hard to do. Oh, maybe not. But I am going to take them off from the top. So again, it's the same principle. Pull, push the pin out. All right, and you can just swing that up. Put the pin over here. Worth noting, if you take both of these out, one pin is way longer than the other. So the longer one, just remember, the longer one goes in here, and it goes through the bottom here. So they don't be confused and say, why isn't this thing lining up? That's for the top brace. All right, so I'll put that over there, and then we'll take this one out. I might need a screwdriver to, either that or I'm going to bend back a fingernail and you can hear me scream. Oh, nope, that's good. Got it out. Put that one over here. All right, so now we can remove the front and the rear, and I'll show you how to do that. It's really, really easy. And it's also secured a lot better, I believe, than the way they are on the 6S rigs. So we'll start with the rear. And this is going to be all 4mm, and you're going to need your 2.5, my bad. You're going to need the 2.5 to take out these two guys right here. So let's get those out. So you're going to be removing these two, these two, these two, these two, and that's it. That'll disconnect the rear. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And this is where I really like this design with these giant axes, because these fit in there nice. You get good leverage. You're not going to have to worry about stripping these guys. There's a nice tight fit in here. Plus you're screwing it into plastic, so you're really not, you wouldn't want to really crank it down super, super tight with the risk of stripping out the plastic. And then the final two are here in the skid, the rear skid. The dog is just, she loves to watch me work on these things. Probably waiting for a screw to drop off the table so she could try to eat it. Alright. Now you can go ahead and remove these two guys in the back, and I believe that those are the 2.5, I'm pretty sure. Where did I put my 2.5? Oh, it's in here. They are. I think I stripped out the ones in the front. You don't need to take this off though. You can actually just kind of pull it off like this. Knock over the beer. And boom, there you have it. So you take these two screws out here and then this would come off. But when I go to put this back on, I basically just slide this in underneath the skid and get it back on. So that's the rear. And actually I might change, this is a little bent from my very first bass session. It's not bent bad, and I have a replacement, but I'm thinking to myself, why really replace it when it's not bent that bad? But you know what, if I go to do the bearings, which I probably will, I'm gonna have to take this out anyway, so that's probably when I'll do it. But anyway, so that's the rear. And we'll take all these screws. We'll put these over here, get them out of the way. And now the front is 2, 4, 6, 8. I think it's 8 as well. And as you can see, I did strip one of these. You can see where I had to slot it with my Dremel right here to get that out. So that's a new screw. And like I said, I stripped these guys out pretty good. So the day I have to replace this, it's gonna suck. So, but anyway, let's get the front off. All right, now another thing that's different on this truck as opposed to the 6S rigs is there are no steering posts. So when this comes off, this is all going to come off together. Normally, what I would do is I would disconnect these steering links right here, and then they would, because those go to here, and they would be sitting on the 2 posts. If you don't do that, you can't really pull everything off together, but not the case here. So this is just going to now come right off. This front is on a little bit tighter. Hold on. Come on. See, this one really benefits for you to loosen up the front, but unfortunately, I stripped those out. Here we go. Come on. So, and as you can see, these are actually threaded. The ones that secure the back of the skid plate on, which is nice. All right, so now we got that. So here you got your whole front end. And again, I haven't really dug into this. Actually, here are your steering posts back here. So I will, at some point, get to pulling this apart and checking everything out. You got a nice little seal here too for the diff, which is cool, for the bulkhead. So put this over here. All right, moving along. Battery trays. First of all, these battery trays, they are in there. This is thick, much thicker plastic than what's in the 6S trucks. I had a big problem on my 6S rigs with ejecting batteries. The 6S trucks have the one battery tray, then it's connected to the little receiver box. I would bust a bracket that connects the receiver box to the battery tray, or I would just basically rip all the screws out of the plastic when I had an upside down landing or whatever, and it would just come, the whole tray would come flying out. You're not going to have the problem with this. I mean, these are in there. So we're going to take the battery trays out. There's 2 halves to them, and this is so that you can move them for bigger batteries. You can actually mount this back end piece farther back, and I'll show you how. These are held in by, the front is held in by 3 screws, the rear is held in by 2 screws. So, and these are going to be your 2.5 millimeter. So we'll take one out at a time. We'll take the rear out first. Oops, I'll do that. There it goes. So if you wanted to make it longer, you would just put this back in and remount it and use these 2 holes, which is a really cool thing that Arrma did. Very, very smart on their part. Really good design. So let me just put this back in like that. Back in like that. Oh man, come on. You know what? Oh, you can actually move this as well. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even realize that. If you've seen that, and I saw this, I briefly saw it mentioned, but this, you can slide this around too, which is pretty cool. My batteries actually fit just the way they are, so let me put that there. And then the front part of the tray is these 3 screws right here. Now, if you want to remove the side guards, you need to take the battery tray out. All right. Come on, that's it. What the hell? Oops. All right. Whoopsie daisy. All right. I told you I've only done this like twice. This screw, let me put this back in. That one's for that. It's this screw over here. Whoopsie daisy. All right. Take this one out. There you go. Now it falls out. Sorry about that. So it's these guys right here. Let me just get my hands out of the way if you can see it. But it's like I said, I didn't look at any schematics when I did this. I just kind of figured it out. If you've been working on these things, you know, the 6S trucks for a while, or really any RC, you kind of figure this stuff out. It's not rocket science, as they say. So I'm going to take the other battery tray off. Again, these two in the back. This one here for the back half of the tray. So I'm thinking as you slide this around, you could use any combination of these, it looks like, to get all sorts of different battery sizes to fit, at least the length. And then the front, which is going to be 1, 2, and 3. Goes. Alright, hold on, I gotta go yell at my dog because she's where she's not supposed to be. Alright. Now we can take off the two side guards. And there's one extra screw on the one side over here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is very similar to your 6S rigs. Except these are not going to strip out. Like, I mean, I've stripped out so many of these on the 6S rigs. These so far are nice. The thicker, the plastic is much thicker. I mean, this is some serious stuff right here. And the threads are, you know, you got more plastic to put it through and bigger screws and everything. So, and then this is for, as I found out, there's normally a little cover here, which I removed. This is going to be so you're going to be able to slide out a larger motor. You're going to need that for so that you have enough room for the back of the can when you go to pull it out. I thought it was an air vent, which it could work, but that's not what it's for. All right, now we're going to do the other side. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and this fifth one up here. There we go. And this is that little, here, let me put these over here. This is where this sits right here when I was talking about in the front of the servo saver. All right, so it goes in right there. Let me get this underneath here. Just like that. All right. Put this over here. All right, now, if you're just taking the motor out, and this is, again, a little different than the 6S rigs, there's actually 3 screws you would have to remove to slide the motor out. 2 on the top, which is like the 6S rigs, and then 1 on the bottom, right here, that you would have to remove in order to slide this out. And those were Loctited in there pretty good. So same deal, heat it up, use good tools. I am not going to loosen this because I re-Loctited it when I put it in. But what I will do is I'll just remove the whole transmission and motor module. Actually, I'm going to take this off first. So this is just, and again, you want to make sure that you have this orientated right when you go to put it back on. So front of the truck is where this slants towards. You know, it would probably fit on either way. So you just want to make note of that. So we'll take that off, and those are those big beefy 4mm screws. And there's going to be 4 of them. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there it is. My bad. There's the piece that goes right here. It just fell off. I thought I had left it off, but you would put the screw in up through the bottom and into this. Or if you were going to leave this off, you would remove the captured nut that's in here. Sorry about this, guys. And you would put it into here, and screw it up, and you would leave it off. All right. All right, now the one thing that is more difficult to get to on this truck is going to be your center diff, especially with the V4 6S rigs. You have that easy access center diff. For reasons that you can imagine, you couldn't do that on this truck. Plus, it has a whole gearbox, so it would be virtually impossible to have that sort of setup, you know, on this truck. So to get that out, let me put these in here before I lose them. So basically, it's going to be like the V3 trucks to get the motor and center diff out, where you're just going to go ahead and remove the 3, which is the motor mount, and the 2, which are the diff bracket holder, whatever you want to call it. So we'll do these first. They're plastic. These are going to be Loctited. Now, I didn't have to use that much heat. They were a little, this one in the middle was the worst. But again, I used just this Allen key to do it, and I really wasn't that concerned about stripping the head, because you have so much to bite into, which is nice. I mean, they're deep too, which is nice. But again, you know, use your head. If you feel like, you know, if you start to put a lot of pressure on there and it ain't budging, you heat that guy up, you know, melt that Loctite. So I did not re-Loctite these because I knew I was going to be taking it out, and I was only going to run it once. So I just kind of cranked them down. And when you do take these screws out, you want to look for the ones that have the dried up Loctite. Those are the ones you're going to want to put back in here, because you don't Loctite plastic, the ones that go into the plastic. There you go. I'm just going to put these back in here. And again, you got a nice gasket here. Keep debris and whatnot out of there. All right. Over there. And now you're almost done to, if you were going to replace the chassis, you're almost done. What you would need to do now is you need to remove these 2 center skids, because they don't come with the chassis. It's actually a separate part. And I believe those, are they these? Nope, they're the big guys too. No, they're the 3mm. All right. There you have it. And you really, if you want to check to make sure, if you're checking, if you think you bent your chassis, you need to get these things off in order to lay it flat, because it's just going to rock back and forth on top of these. So, but as you can see, it's not a huge big deal to get this down to just the chassis. I think it's really easy to pull apart. So let's get, I don't want to lose these. Put these over here. All right, and then there you have it. You know, there's your chassis, which this one is brand spanking new. I did run that snow bash, and I did have one off-camera nose landing, and it's flat. It doesn't rock, flat as an arrow. Everything on this should be flat. There should be no kick up in the back, and then there should be a slight kick up in the front. My other one, which I bent it in 2 ways. One, I landed on a rock right here on this portion when I came down, and it bent this portion up and in like that. And then the other thing that I did is I bent it, you know, this when I hit that tree and I came down, it just folded, bananaed the chassis. And this kick up was like, even when I pounded it flat, because the back was kicked up, I pounded everything flat as best as I could. and thought it was all good to go, and I put it all back together, and I went to put the body on, and I'm like, why are the posts not matching up? And what it was is that I didn't realize how much the front got bent up this way. It was kicked up, and you know, the posts were too close together, so I had to bend it back. I actually used this as a guide to bend it back to this angle, and I do have it. It's a spare. I mean, it's perfectly fine. I can use it, no problem. Like I said, I got a good deal on this one, and I just wanted one that wasn't all banged up on the bottom, and it looks so nice and shiny. Really nice and shiny. So anyway, that is the disassembly to get down to the chassis. I don't want to make this video super long. It's only going to be long as it is, but I will eventually get into how to take your gearbox apart. I will get into the disassembly of the front and the rear of the truck. You know, maybe I'll do a bearing video, show you how you do the bearings. So but that's going to do it for today. So anyway, I hope this helped you out, guys. Like I said, easy to work on as far as I'm concerned. It's nice that you're dealing with much bigger screws than the other trucks. Stiffer plastic. You're not going to really have to worry too much about stripping out screws in here or in the bottom of the Diff bulkheads, which is a common issue that I have, at least with the 6S rigs. Everything here is just thicker and beefier and bigger. So anyway, for all you guys that are getting the trucks, that's how you do that. And I hope you enjoy them, because they're getting out to the stores now. And if you haven't picked one up and you're on the fence, I can highly recommend it. I think it's an awesome truck. So Arrma did I think did a great job. I mean, they caught some shit from some people, about certain things. And look, no truck is perfect, but I mean, for their first foray into the 5th scale, I think they hit a home run. I mean, they really did. I mean, this is you can tell they put a lot of time and effort and some thought into the design of this truck. So don't be hesitant to purchase one thinking that they're made out of glass, because they certainly aren't. So anyway, guys, I will see you in my next video. It'll probably be another disassembly video on other parts of the truck. So I'll see you then. Peace.